I'm LeGrand Elliott.
I'm Cindy Ayers Elliott.
And we have a brand new show called Ag and Culture. We'll be discussing all things agriculture.
But more specifically, how it affects farmers and ranchers of color with national and local guests.
And of course, we're talking culture, food, wine, health, politics, education, and so much more.
Join us for informative and fun conversation with guests from all over the country.
It's a fresh new show, Ag and Culture, every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. on the East, and 7 a.m. on the West.
Watch us on our YouTube channel, MS Footprint Farms.
And on WeBelieve.global. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to episode number 2 of Ag and Culture. I'm your host, LeGrand Elliott, and this lovely lady to my right is...
Cindy Ayers Elliott.
Good morning, Dr. Ayers. How are you?
Good morning, LeGrand. I'm excellent.
Pleasure to be here. So, before we get started, of course, Ag and Culture, thank you so much. The first episode was a smash. We had such a great... taking on how it went, all the good positive feedback.
Great calls and emails.
We're just so excited everybody joined in. Episode 2, it went by quick. Last Tuesday went by really quick, and here it is again, right?
It is.
So anyway, just everybody this is your first time tuning in, it's called Ag and Culture, and this show explores all things agriculture, more specifically how it impacts farmers and ranchers of color. And of course, we'll be talking about culture, health, food, education, politics, music, wine, so much more. But we want this to be a very interactive show. Again, we don't want to hear ourselves talk up here. We want it to be very interactive. So we really want your questions. We want your feedback. 1-800-492-5186. On the gram, you can hit us at Footprint Farms, Facebook, Footprint Farms as well. And our website is footprintfarms with an sms.com. So having said all that, Dr. Ayers, I'm so excited about this show this morning. I am so excited.
Well, it's always great to be here and to be with you, but to be able to talk about something that we love and we do every day, and to bring as much information, useful information, as possible to everyone that's listening.
Yep. Absolutely. So again, 1-800-492-5186. The reason why this morning is so special, we're getting ready to basically announce a great announcement, our title sponsor. For our show. Our title sponsor is going to be for our show for this entire season.
Yay.
So we want to thank our new sponsor, Heifer International and Heifer USA. If you're not familiar with Heifer International USA, for the last 80 years, Heifer has been very instrumental all over the world in helping small farmers and ranchers basically create their markets for their either their livestock or for their fruits and vegetables or whatever they're selling, and making a sustainable market for them that they can not only be farmers, but they can thrive as farmers. So you want to check out Heifer, please check them out at heifer.org. We are so excited. I mean, for us, and anybody knows anything about Heifer International, this is such a big honor for us that they saw what we thought we saw in this show, Ag and Culture, and they are all on board, 10 toes down. So just congratulations to our new sponsors, Heifer International.
Thank you so much.
Such a big deal, and we appreciate them.
It is, and the great thing about being a part of them knowing about Footprint Farms is that more people now will know our story. But the other side of that is that so much technology and information and the way they raise food is going to be an excellent thing for us to be able to pass on to so many other farmers, especially farmers of color. They actually grow and they're humane in how they do things, how they grow the natural growing of animals for harvest.
Right.
So
and the actual global headquarters for Heifer International USA is located in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yes.
They have about a 2,000 acre ranch, Heifer Ranch, that's also in northwest Arkansas. We've had the privilege of visiting, and it's just an amazing how, with their cattle, with their poultry, it's all free range and it's grass fed, and they really love those practices. So, with that, we want people to go check out Heifer and learn more about them. And actually, what I'm excited about, and we'll have some of their guests on probably sometime next week or maybe next month, that will be able to explain some of the wonderful programs that they're bringing into Mississippi as it relates to farmers and value-added type of farming that they're offering, and very financial opportunities as well in farming. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I do. It's going to be some great opportunities for new farmers and for farmers that's already been in the game for a while, looking at diversifying your farms, adding some other new arms. In this case, we'll be looking at poultry, we'll be looking at swine, piglets, and also looking at a lot of veggies as well, new ways to grow, and how to harvest and how to market market and sell. So they have a lot of great videos that's already up on YouTube that you can start watching.
Yes.
But they also do a lot of live segments almost every week.
Absolutely. And the other beautiful thing in this partnership with Heifer, we're trying to get, especially our Mississippi HBCUs and our agriculture mechanical HBCU, Alcorn State University, involved with their basically their internship program, where they'll select students who may be agriculture majors that they can actually do their internships right there at the ranch at Heifer. Actually
hands-on, so you'll be able to put everything that you learned in the classrooms into action and to actually see what it looks like. They're great people. Salt Earth, a lot of women that are there that's heading up a lot of the divisions. It's just good people. The chairman of the board, we had a great meeting with him.
Sure.
And we want to say hello, Pierre, and thank you for all your help, and to all of the great people at the headquarters in Arkansas.
Great. And now we've got all that out of the way. And we appreciate Heifer. Now that we have all that out of the way, we're also excited as well. Well, just a quick trivia, since we're talking about Heifer, so people don't know. So some of us who are new to farming, I'll just let you in a little secret. A heifer is basically a cow that has not had a calf yet.
Yes.
So a heifer becomes a cow once that heifer gives birth to her first cow. Her first calf. Yes. So just a little piece of trivia. People that's new to farming, they's like, well, what is heifer? Well, a heifer is, what I just said.
Not that name you think when you say heifer.
Right. So when you say heifer, that really means a female cow that has not calved yet. So just a little. See, it's called agriculture. That's what we do.
And we're learning, and there's some things again that you'll be picking up, and we'll be happy to share some of these little tidbits with you.
Absolutely.
But you know what, LeGrand? Another great thing we talked about culture, and one of the things that's making my heart pop this morning is not only do I have my oldest son here with me in the studio, but also my youngest, who's here with us via internet or via now phone to be able to talk to.
Yeah, he's via landline.
He's really landline. Okay.
We had a little bit of technical difficulty this morning on the satellite feed. We apologize for that. But nonetheless, the show must go on.
Yes.
So without further ado, I really want to introduce a special person in my life. My little brother, he is a proprietor. He is co-owner with he and his wife Candace of Water's Edge Winery Bistro, located in the Houston, Texas area, specifically Richmond, Texas. Just celebrated his first year anniversary of being in business this past November. And so, Eric, without further ado, sir, welcome to Ag and Culture, my man.
Welcome.
What's up?
That's my baby.
Good morning. Thank you. How y'all doing this morning?
Eric, we're doing splendid, my man. Splendid. So we just want to dive.
Happy to be here.
Good, man. Glad that you're here with us, man. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on Agriculture this morning. We'll just dive right in, Eric. Just give us a little bit of background on your winery, and we'll just kind of start with that. First of all, just maybe the concept of the need for that, and you go from, from planning it to execution. Just talk a little bit about your winery.
Sure. So as you mentioned, LeGrand, we're located in Richmond, Texas, which is a suburb about 15 minutes due west of Houston proper. And it's a beautiful area. It reminds you of, back home, right? So I've got cows, I've got trees. So we're definitely in a more of a rural side of the city, if you will. But being out here comes with limitations, right? Like Houston being the fourth largest city, I feel like it's the largest when it comes to traffic. But one of the areas that we saw a need for here was the fact that there was really nothing for adults to come and do and enjoy themselves, right? We've got small kids, and for us to go have a good time or to just sort of go let our hair down, get a babysitter, we have that 15-minute drive into the city. And then we have that drive back. And so we wanted to have something that was a little bit closer and to where we didn't have to go so far. And there was a need here. And as this just continues to boom in this area, we saw Water's Edge Winery being
68-acre vegetable.
Go.
No,
you're
sorry.
good.
That's okay. Hey, it's live TV, my man. It's live TV, brother.
Yeah. So no, man. So we saw a need. This area, is just growing exponentially. It's probably one of the It's known as a Bloomberg. It's probably one of the fastest growing in terms of economics in the state of Texas. Amazon just completed a $1 billion build out of a state-of-the-art facility here for distribution, as well as, man, I look to my right, I have HEB, which is one of the largest grocery stores here in the state of Texas. And to my north is Academy, and to my left is Chick-fil-A. So the area is bustling.
It sounds like the area you kind of planted your roots right there at the right time. Looks like there's a lot of every time I come out, a lot of industry that's there, and it's up and growing. Kind of reminds you, if you're in the Jackson area, it kind of reminds you of like a Madison or something like that. Just a really fast-paced, fast-growing rural area. So Eric, we want you to hang there with us. We got to take a break.
Sure.
On the other side of the break, we'll be back with Eric Elliott and Water's Edge Winery. Footprint Farms is a beautiful 68-acre vegetable and cattle farm located in Jackson, Mississippi, and is Mississippi's largest urban farm. The mission of Footprint Farms is to provide the community access to healthy food choices, introduce our youth to agriculture, and provide training and technical assistance to small farmers and ranchers. The farm is open to the public every Friday from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. to purchase fresh produce or visit us at the Mississippi Farmers Market located near the fairgrounds in February. We accept all forms of payment, including EBT and SNAP benefits. Looking for a beautiful venue for your next wedding, family reunion, or dinner? Footprint Farms offers a 3,000 square foot facility on 5 beautiful acres, perfect for your next event. For more information, visit our website at footprintfarms.com, Facebook and Instagram at Footprint Farms, or call us at 601-910-5534. Footprint Farms, farm fresh, city sweet. Welcome back. We're back, Ag and Culture. I'm your host, LeGrand Elliott. My co-host is Dr. Cindy Ayers Elliott. We've got my brother and her other son. He got his other son, Eric Elliott, proprietor of Water's Edge Winery and Bistro, located in Richmond, Texas. So, Eric, we were talking before we went to that break, just about the growing area that you have out there, and it seems like, just like any type of real estate, is all about location, and it seems like you really nailed that. So, the bigger thing I wanted to speak to you about, and maybe some of our listeners want to know, and just kind of I'll back up. So, you opened up this winery during one of the most unprecedented times in American history, during COVID. So just let our subscribers and our viewers kind of know a little bit exactly, how did you manage that process? Because you hear so many of the stories where people were going out of business, and in this case you were coming into business. So just speak about that a little bit on how you were able to navigate those waters.
Right. Well, LeGrand, one of the, I think, things that we had to get back to knowing was it was very basic, because you had to remember people were no longer in the office. And so for the state of Texas, that meant sometimes you would be able to submit a document to sign to get a license, or if you needed to get a permit, that you could do that in a matter of 10 minutes, and you'll be done. You could actually go in, walk in, get those signatures, walk it down the hall, get another signature, and basically be finished. So we kind of had to go back to those days of, hey, I need some stamps, because I'm going to have to mail this directly to this person for a signature. I need to find a notary. So it basically gave us an early pathway in saying that, okay, if we're going to get this done, we're going to basically have to walk this through the mail and get every signature that we need. We're going to have to get on the phone there, and contact people directly. We were using a lot of email just to kind of get through the process. But more importantly, LeGrand, everything being shut down did not mean that we were shut out. And so we did not let that stop our process in getting things moving on our side. So if you think about from even a construction standpoint, once we were able to get everything that we needed in terms of permitting and signatures from the state of Texas and federal, we had to ensure that we had the safety of those tradespeople who were on site, just to make sure that, in planning. So being able to make sure that everyone had a specific date that they were going to be here, because we wanted to limit exposure, and still continue the construction process at the same time. And so that's kind of how we had to hobble through and get this project finished. We were supposed to open in July of 2020, but we actually missed that by a few months and opened in November.
Yeah, good, man. So that's great. So let's talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about the winery itself. So just for people that don't understand, and maybe you can clear it up for us, what's the difference between a winery and a micro winery? And in your case, you are a micro winery, correct? Explain exactly what the difference.
Right. So most wineries, you come accustomed to seeing like vineyards, and they're doing the viniculture, growing the grapes, processing, harvesting the grapes, and then basically going to the other area to where they start to crush the grapes. So you see that at a lot of your larger wineries and vineyards. Where we differentiate is that we're more of a downstream process, right? So we work directly with different vineyards, and they're actually doing the crush for us. So when we receive product from the vineyards, it's the grapes have already been crushed. They hadn't been turned into wine just yet, but they've been crushed. And so once we receive those grapes, which we get those pretty much from all around the world, but once we receive them, we then take it through the process here on premises, going from just basically grape juice and going through the fermentation process, the bottling process, and
I know that part very well, sir.
Yeah, I'll see you in a couple of weeks, man. We'll do another bottle run. But so all that takes place here. So we're able to do it on a smaller scale. So when I mean smaller, we probably will produce anywhere from this year. We'll do probably roughly about 6,500 to 7,000 bottles this year. And we'll continue to increase as we get a feel for what what the demographic kind of gravitates toward, and that's kind of what we produce. So a lot of the grapes that we will make, or the wine that we will make from different varietals of grapes, are sometimes uncommon. So you won't necessarily go into a liquor store and be able to find these types of wines. Right.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about. So just so I'm clear, the only difference between a micro and just a full one is basically you just don't have the vineyard outside. Your process is the same as far as your fermentation. You're actually fermenting your wine in these big holding tanks on site at your bistro, at your winery, and you're also bottling this as well. So if I want to come in and get a bottle of wine and you have a new wine, you can actually pour me that wine and I can and bottle it right there. So if I want it at my table, I want to take it home, you can instantly do that right there, correct?
Absolutely. So most of the wines that you'll receive when you come in, they will already have been bottled. And so from there, you have the option of, trying new wines, or the cool part is, let's just say you come in, LeGrand, and you start a bottle and you don't finish. We cork on site, and so you can take it home and enjoy it later. So we try not to waste any wine around these parts.
So, Eric, I understand and I know that from everything I've read, you have one of the hottest Sunday brunches in the city. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So Candace and I, that was in that planning stage. So that's the other cool thing about COVID, is they gave us an opportunity to really think through about what is it that we wanted to offer to guests. And so being in this area, we wanted to give a brunch, but not just any brunch. We wanted to liven it up. So we have live musicians who come in and throw in a little jazz on top of that jerk chicken and waffles that we serve so much of.
Oh man. And don't forget, don't leave out the oxtails as well, man. So we got Eric. So we've got a beautiful shot up of your winery, looking at it from the outside, and the architecture is beautiful. And just to let people know, this was something that was built from ground up, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So it's a first generation location, which means that when we got it, it was, just basically concrete, and that was it. And so we got, that's the great thing about Water's Edge. And let me plug that just for a second. Water's Edge Winery. So we are a collection. There's about 14 locations across the country. We're headquartered in Southern California, near Rancho Cucamonga. And so Ken Leigenberger, who is the founder of Water's Edge, he had the vision of, hey, why not allow people, not just in California, but across the country, the opportunity to indulge in this amazing winemaking process. So there's a lot of science behind it that Ken was able to share. And so, you're now able to visit Water's Edge wineries, from California all the way over to South Carolina right now.
Awesome, Eric. And Eric, because we're going up against a break here in a second, but I want to ask you really quick. I know there's certain states that you can't sail to, but we'll come back to that because I'm going to be up against the break, and my producer's going to be really mad at me.
Yes.
All right.
So just hang on with us. Hang on with us, and we'll reset. You are watching Ag and Culture. I'm LeGrand Elliott, your host, and my co-host is...
I'm Cindy Ayers Elliott. I'm the mom.
Footprint Farms is a beautiful 68-acre vegetable and cattle farm located in Jackson, Mississippi, and is Mississippi's largest urban farm. The mission of Footprint Farms is to provide the community access to healthy food choices, introduce our youth to agriculture, and provide training and technical assistance to small farmers and ranchers. The farm is open to the public every Friday from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. to purchase fresh produce or visit us at the Mississippi Farmers Market located near the fairgrounds in February. We accept all forms of payment, including EBT and SNAP benefits. Looking for a beautiful venue for your next wedding, family reunion, or dinner? Footprint Farms offers a 3,000 square foot facility on 5 beautiful acres, perfect for your next event. For more information, visit our website at footprintfarms.com, Facebook and Instagram at Footprint Farms, or call us at 601-910-5534. Footprint Farms, farm fresh, city sweet. Hey, welcome back from the break of Ag and Culture. Mr. Eric Elliott on the line with us via phone. He is the owner, proprietor of Water's Edge Winery Bistro, located in the greater Houston, Texas area, and just so happens to be my little brother and her other son. So,
right. my other son. And speaking of that, Candace is his wife, and both of them together has been working to really build a family. I have 3 granddaughters there, as well as this great business. And along the great part of this is that they are all from the South. They attended the Jackson State University.
Is that what they call that school?
Come on now, here we go. The Jackson State University. And they're majored in marketing and accounting. But Eric, tell us a little bit more, and again, I'm so happy to hear your voice this morning. Tell us a little bit about your labeling and the part you get to do that's so exciting in actually naming your wines. And one in particular, your very first one that you named.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Mom. So, Mississippi Blues Man. So Candace and I, we really wanted to make sure that we, paid homage, if you will, to some of the things that set us up for where we are right now. And that was the great state of Mississippi via the Jackson State University. And so one of the cool things about our wines is we try to add a twist because we're more of an urban winery. So you'll come in, like right now, I'm looking at a label that basically says social distance. What a more fitting label
right.
to have on a bottle of wine.
Exactly.
And so we wanted to be different, and we felt like, I'm not a chateau. I'm not located in, the Tuscan region of Italy. So I didn't want to play those games, right? So I said, well, let's just be true to who we are. And so you'll come in and you'll see things like 8 Seconds. You'll see like the Teacher's Pet. You'll see High Roller. So a lot of the names of our wines, are very different than what the typical wine label looks like.
Sure. Eric, just so you know, you can't see it, I've got a beautiful picture of, over the summer, that's the president of Jackson State we're watching. Houston has probably one of the largest, if not the largest, alumni bases in the country. And this particular photo was taken that once they found out there was a Jackson State alum who had this very, very unique place, it was a no-brainer where they were going to hold their fundraiser at. So kudos to the president of Jackson State and all the JSU alumnus who are very, very much so supportive of Water's Edge and you and Candace.
And to all the other friends that are there from the ag
Absolutely.
community, because, we talk ag and culture, but this is still a big form of agriculture, and this is the value-added side of what we talk about when we're talking about ag.
Yeah.
But the other great part about this is that the business get to bring on other people in, and also to help other black businesses be able to utilize and to bring some of the needed things to the area, and we're excited about that. And don't forget about Candace, who's also my daughter-in-law, but she's a great sister on the other side as being a Delta, which is another big part. And congratulations to you on your Founders Day. As well as this week, we're celebrating our Founders Day with Africa for Alpha. This is our month for celebration. And that I said that just to talk about the unity and how important it is to know where you are and who you are, to be able to talk about it and to bring people together and to have a common cause. In this case, it is to come to a great location, to look at economic development, and to talk about it, how many different ways that we actually do economics. So this is another good part. But to be able to utilize the names and to the labeling and to know that it's done out of a lot of love, it's important. So we're going to encourage everyone to go to their website and to their Instagram page and see some of the great things.
Absolutely.
And some great musicians that you have there. A lot of local talent that you bring in.
Yeah. I tell everybody, Eric, you're the new, how NPR has Tiny Desk series. You're like the Tiny Stage series.
Yes.
You were telling me over the weekend you had, did you call it the Black Opry? Can you expound on that? Yeah, tell us about the Black Opry.
Yeah, absolutely. I had some amazing Nashville country artists who just so happened to be black musicians, and they came and they did 2 shows on Friday and Saturday. So what they're trying to bring awareness to is the fact that country isn't just limited to what we've basically come to associate country music with, right? So these artists were amazing. You had Aaron Vance, you had Tyler Bryant, you had Holly G, and quite a few others that were on stage. I can't wait to have them back.
Well, good, man. So, and Eric, just to, I know you guys have a wine club, and I know that certain states will allow you to do certain things. So, when can we expect that if somebody wants to join your wine club from Mississippi, when do you think we'll be able to join that wine club?
All right. So, laws are definitely interesting for different states. So, here's one. So, let's say if you visited us directly, and you purchased a bottle of wine directly from Water's Edge, then you would be able to, of course, ship that bottle back home if you chose to do that. But right now, the laws do not allow us to ship directly to the end user. Let's just say if you were to try to purchase over the online, we would not be able to do that at this time.
Sure. Just for the state of Mississippi? This is just for the state of Mississippi. Well, you can do it in other places.
Well, that is correct. That's the state of Mississippi. There are other states that I think Mississippi and maybe I don't know. Maybe I think it's Delaware, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. But yes, we are able to basically ship the wine to different states.
Gotcha. So, other than, of course, Mississippi, give us let our subscribers know, because we have subscribers from East Coast, West Coast, North, South. So it's not just here. So if people are interested in looking at your wines or even maybe becoming a member of your wine club, how do they do that?
So they would basically go to www.wewrichmondtx.com and click on Wine Club, and we'll take it from there.
So can they go to Water's Edge and maybe go there? Because you just said a mouthful.
Oh, yeah. So we've got a few. So there's a few Water's Edge wineries. You want to go to Water's Edge Winery, Richmond, Texas, and click. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you click on that Richmond, Texas location, and we can, we can get you set up.
We also tag this on our information from the farm, so they'll be able to go in there as well if they can't find it. At Footprint, because you truly are a part of Footprint. from your beginning of growing up right there on the farm, which wasn't a farm then. But it's a great thing to do, and to be able to still to pass this on. So this is a great show for me. It's important for us to understand the importance of legacy, the importance of working together, and some of the things that you can do when you come together and you build and you plan and you expand the different things that normally you wouldn't do. Right. Just like being a black woman in agriculture. Usually that's not the case. Right. And to be a restaurateur, a wine consumer, but also to be able to make the wine is a great thing, and we're so excited about that. Yep.
So, Eric, for our listeners or subscribers that may be in the Houston or the greater Houston area that may be watching, or they may have a friend that's watching saying, hey, girl, this is Winery. You also do private rooms, private parties. How can they get in contact with you guys directly if they wanted to either talk to you about the wine club, or, hey, got this girls' night out, we want to plan something, you got a private room for that. Can you give us some information on that and how they can contact you?
Yeah, absolutely, LeGrand. They can reach us, they can call us directly at 832-449-8386. Mm-hmm. That's here at the winery, but you could also get in contact with us via the social sites. So whether it's Instagram, Google, Facebook, you can also contact us that way.
Sure. Great, Eric. Awesome stuff, brother. Hey, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. We're just so proud of you.
Yes.
And the accomplishments you guys have made despite of. Just shows you how God's grace and mercy is just so awesome and so powerful. Just maybe when you didn't see a way, there was a way, and you guys have obviously did that. So my hat is off to you. I will be catching the next flight next week to get my bottling game ready, because I'm pretty sure we're going to go through, a couple of tanks of it, both consumption and filling up and then filling it up.
You mean bottling? Correct.
No, we have to make sure that the legs and the body of the wine is perfecto.
See, now there goes the profit. We'll only let him stay a couple of days when he comes over. But this is exciting, and we're so happy to have you there. You'll let him go down and start working, and we can come. It's open what days? What are your
days
hours?
You're open,
your days?
Yeah. So we open, so Mondays and Tuesdays we're closed for production, but we're open Wednesday through Sundays, and you can just stop in, grab a glass or a bottle, and get some great food to accompany that and relax and enjoy yourself.
Or do a great flight, right? You can actually do flights of wine to taste the different kinds.
Yeah, you could do flights, or we can even put a layover in that as well.
That's right.
Excellent.
I love it, man. I love it, Eric. So thank you so much for joining Ag and Culture. You were our first live guest, and we appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule, man. We love you, and I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thank y'all so much.
All right, man.
Have a great day.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, baby. Bye.
Oh, it's your baby.
That's my baby. Bye, baby.
Oh, my gosh.
That's my baby.
I was your
You are. You're my baby.
Don't worry about it.
But great thing about having two great sons is that I get to talk about both of them. So I'm very excited about that, as well as my grandbabies that goes with that, with Christian, Erica, Zoe, and now Skylar. I'm just so with Moon. For this. But now I got some other things I want to talk to you about as well.
Please.
See, the other part I want to talk about my other friends. And this is one of the books that I have, and I'm going to encourage everyone to start looking for this. This is, if you know about the movie and everything about, what is it called? Sugar?
Queen Sugar?
Queen Sugar. She's actually the author of Queen Sugar as well, but she has a new book that's out, and it's called We Are Each Other Harvest, and it's a celebration of African American farmers, land, and legacy. So it's a lot of great writers in this book. It's talking about our history, but it's also talking about the other poetry and the other side that goes in, believe it or not, with agriculture. So if you get a chance to pick this book up, or to see it, to go on Amazon or any place of our bookstores to pick it up. She's a great author, great writer, but it also exercises and shows the other things we want to do. It talks a lot about Mississippi in here. It talks a lot about different places and different things during history time. So if you get a chance, this is my book of the week.
At Heifer USA, we believe the backyard gardener can have a huge impact on their land, in their community, and on our climate. That's why we provide free virtual workshops for beginning, intermediate, and professional gardeners, teaching regenerative methods for growing healthy food while improving soil quality. Find us on YouTube at Heifer USA and join our online community of regenerative growers today.
Footprint Farms is a beautiful 68-acre vegetable and cattle farm located in Jackson, Mississippi, and is Mississippi's largest urban farm. The mission of Footprint Farms is to provide the community access to healthy food choices, introduce our youth to agriculture, and provide training and technical assistance to small farmers and ranchers. The farm is open to the public every Friday from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. to purchase fresh produce or visit us at the Mississippi Farmers Market located near the fairgrounds in February. We accept all forms of payment, including EBT and SNAP benefits. Looking for a beautiful venue for your next wedding, family reunion, or dinner? Footprint Farms offers a 3,000 square foot facility on 5 beautiful acres, perfect for your next event. For more information, visit our website at footprintfarms.com, Facebook and Instagram at Footprint Farms, or call us at 601-910-5534. Footprint Farms, farm fresh, city sweet. Good morning. It's episode number 5. Welcome to Agriculture This Morning. How are you, Dr. Ayers, my lovely co-host?
Good morning, LeGrand. I am excellent today and always excited to be here.
Of course, we're still celebrating Black History Month.
Yes, every month is my Black History Month, and I celebrate.
Absolutely it is. And for everybody who's just their first time joining our show, Agriculture is all about exactly that. It's agriculture and culture. We'll talk food, wine, but most importantly, we're going to talk all things agriculture and how it affects the Black community.
Absolutely. And what's so important about this show is that we're going to bring you facts, details, but we always say to you and everyone, always read and research.
That's right.
One of the best things we can do is listen, but also go and verify. But today, I'm extra excited, LeGrand.
Yes.
You know why?
Why?
I have my hero that's here.
No, our hero is here.
Yeah, okay, our hero and a living legend.
And we'll save it. We'll save it. It's a living legend.
Hurry.
I can't wait. Can't look out of the bag. We gotta do the real stuff first, right?
Coming down.
So we want this as a very interactive show. So we definitely want to make sure that all of our friends and subscribers, Instagram, Footprint Farms, Facebook, we're live right now. Hello, good morning, everybody. We're live. Facebook Farms, Footprint Farms, and then the website is footprintfarms.com. We may take some calls today. 800-492-5186, and we can't leave out our title sponsor, Heifer International USA. For over 75 years, they have been helping small ranchers and farmers have a sustainable lifestyle by giving them different opportunities to produce cattle and vegetables and anything else they're growing via agriculture.
Absolutely. It's great people, salt of the earth, and truly makes a difference, not just in the U.S., but around the world. But LeGrand, I have something else for you today.
What you got?
Usually this is a 30-minute show.
Yes.
And we're always happy and proud of the 30 minutes, but guess what's happening from this day forward every Tuesday?
Tell me.
We are now a 1-hour show, thanks to the calls and the interest that we are doing right now.
Excellent.
We're very happy about this.
Yes.
So now we're able to bring on more guests, actually have longer to truly get the information and details out to everyone.
And that was the thing we were getting a lot of. It's like, man, this is good, but we need more. So we're just so happy and just so blessed to, in a very short order, to be able to offer an additional 30 minutes. So I'm very excited.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, let's go and take care of business.
Okay, so since we've got our title sponsor, Heifer USA International, again, we can't thank them enough. If you don't know anything about Heifer International USA, I advise you to go to heifer.org. You can actually donate. You can see all the great things that they're doing at Heifer. Heifer is global headquarters is in North Little Rock, Arkansas, and their 2,500 acre plus ranch is in Perryville, Arkansas. So again, I challenge you to check out Heifer International and all the wonderful things they're doing globally.
Absolutely. Some great information from their websites to their podcasts, some great things that not only can you learn from, you can actually do in your farm, your area, or what you could plan to aspire to do.
Absolutely, and people have to understand it's basically obviously with COVID, it's a training facility, meaning that if you want to learn how to properly raise grass-fed cattle or grass-fed pork, they will actually show you those practices on how to do it correctly. And as a matter of fact, and we'll save that for next time, but next week we will have a representative from Heifer International on the show next week, and more specifically talking about Mississippi. And we got farmers out there who have at least 37 acres of land in Mississippi that could possibly be eligible to get into the Heifer USA swine program.
Absolutely. It's an opportunity. It's ground floor.
Yep. So a lot of good stuff coming. Heifer, we thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. But now,
Yes.
let's get to the man of the hour. So I'm not going to do a long intro because to me, this gentleman needs no intro, but we're going to do that. He is a son of a family-owned soybean, corn, and wheat farm in Southeast Virginia. He is 37 years with USDA Department of Agriculture as Director of USDA Office of Civil Rights under the Clinton as well as the Obama administration from 97 until the mid-2000s. And without further ado, I'm going to let him talk about all the wonderful things he's doing. None other we have on the line than
Yes,
Mr. Lloyd Wright.
The Lloyd Wright.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning,
Welcome to
Lloyd.
Ag and
Good
Culture.
morning.
How are you?
Good morning. Doing well.
Glad to be here. There's so many different things, Mr. Wright, we can dive into. But just first of all, for some of our listeners who may not be familiar with your pedigree, please just expound a little bit on who you are and what you've been doing as it relates to agriculture.
Well, in addition to the years that I spent working with USDA, both in Natural Resource Conservation Service, and at the end of my career, I was Director of Civil Rights for the Department of Ag. But since I've retired, I've spent most of my time as a volunteer trying to help Black farmers. And actually, we have an organization that is about 20 years old that was created, made up primarily of retired government employees. The name of it is the Wright Black Farmer Coalition. And we work with politicians on policy and programs, and we do some encouraging Congress to take steps to try to save the few remaining Black farmers. To me, to a large extent, Black farmers are endangered species.
Absolutely.
Having declined from almost 1 million down to about 38,000.
Right.
Yeah. So so that's what I spend my time doing at the present time.
Yeah. And just on that stat alone, Mr. Wright, from 1910 to 1997, Black farmers lost approximately 90% of all land that Black farmers own. And a lot of that was largely due in part because of financial reasons. 90%. It's one thing to lose 15, 20%, 30%, but to hear 90%, where does that put the state of Black farming? Where are Black farmers right now if we're still having trouble with access to capital?
Well, I would say almost endangered species in that not only have we lost, we're still losing.
Yes.
We're the only group not gaining of the social disadvantaged groups. All the rest of them are actually gaining, both in terms of number and in terms of land. Blacks are not, and really the cause of the decline of both Black farmers and loss of land is discrimination. I tell folks, immediately after the Civil War, we did fair in accumulating land and farms, because it was mostly labor. If you had enough kids, you could farm a few acres.
Sure.
But over time, that was closed down around 1910, to be honest. Actually, we reached our peak in terms of Black farms in 1920. But during that period, it was the beginning or in the middle of Jim Crow, I should say.
Yes.
And with where, to a large extent, violence, where folk were really trying to put us back in slavery.
Sure.
There were almost 4,000 lynchings, where Blacks didn't do what whites want done, or didn't sell them the land or work on their farms, they were lynched. And we had the Great Migration from the South, as you well know.
Yes.
People, moved to save their necks, more or less, which is part of the reason we have all the air property. But in either case, in the process, we lost farms. We couldn't get loans. When we got to the place where we needed money to purchase equipment, when equipment became available, or land when you needed a little more land to pay for it, the whites could get loans, but we could not.
Wow.
And there were some sources, private and a few religious institutions that helped us earlier on. But the government programs set up to help small and struggling farmers help the whites, not the blacks.
Wow.
And really, and it hasn't changed. I mean, I would like to say that when Jim Crow officially ended in '64, and I tell folk I grew up under Jim Crow, where you couldn't even go to the office,
Wow.
depending on where it was located. When I started to work, by the way, for the federal government, there were only 81 black NRCS employees in the whole country.
In the whole country, Lloyd? 84? In the whole country of America?
Right. Of soil conservation NRCS employees. And I was one of the 81. Now, most of the rest of them were, even if they had a degree, they were doing manual labor at plant material centers, cleaning buildings, and et cetera.
Right.
But at least they were on the payroll. So what the point is, the workforce out there was all white. In Virginia, we had 2 Soil Conservation Service employees. They were both on the campus at Virginia State when I arrived. And I started the college in 1960. And that remained so. I went to work in upstate New York because Virginia wouldn't hire me. They were not hiring blacks to work in the field. Wow. They had their 2 black employees. So when you look at the infrastructure, loans and other things that were given and provided by the Department of Agriculture, we had all white committees out there and all white staff. And in the South, where most of the blacks are located, too many of those white committeemen and employees didn't mean us well.
Right.
And so we didn't get services, we didn't get technical assistance, we didn't get loans, and then a lot of trickery was used to acquire our land.
Wow.
And the concern that I have, first, is still going on. The second is that there's a movement to some extent to change history, in that I just finished reading a report where they use some of the oppression and discrimination of blacks to justify taking some action maybe in the next farm bill. But then that report start using, this is what happened to people of color. And then they said, this is what happened to people who are social disadvantaged. And then they got to underserved. Except for American Indians and blacks, most of the discrimination and oppression really didn't happen to them. But the way the recommendations and programs are drafted is done to help everyone else. And we've already seen that happen to the 2501 program, which when that was designed, it was to primarily provide information and technical assistance to blacks who were not getting it.
Right.
And now, it's more difficult for black organizations to even get money out of that
than
pot.
ever.
And Lloyd, and on that as well, they're adding more groups into that small pot. They're not expanding the dollars as much, but they're putting more groups in, And with that, what little slice we had is now down to a trickle of bread, not even a crumb. And yet we still have to compete for that.
Yeah.
Right. And even worse, when you put all those groups together and then you provide services to them. Many of them are opposed even to outreach and affirmative programs, but they're part of that group. And so you put them all together and provide some services to those, primarily the ones who are not black. And then you, at the end of the day, say, look what we did for this group. Yes,
Right.
you did. You did it for all the folk who've never been discriminated against.
Right.
But the pool looks great, but the blacks who are the folk with the history of discrimination still didn't get services.
Absolutely.
And so really they dilute the presence of blacks in it, and then you're able to show accomplishments by providing services to all of the subgroups except black. And I see that, I'm sorry, I think that is dangerous, and it's up and coming at the present time, and that some folk are convinced that you cannot use race as a basis for emphasizing certain kinds of affirmative programs.
Right.
And I tell them that race, and really race as it relates to blacks, was the only factor used when they denied programs.
Yes.
You know, I grew up in the deep South in Virginia, and once you get out of the commuting area of Washington, D.C. and in Virginia, it is as deep South.
It's deep South as you get. That's right. It's very rural.
Yeah, and it was the home of the Confederacy. So, and that attitude is still the same. And when I grew up in Virginia, if you were 1/64th black, you were black and denied services. And if they had a sign up for drinking water, for colors, you went to that one. In some places you couldn't go in at all. It was not much different than Mississippi.
Right.
But they used race as a basis to deny services.
Mr. Wright, if you would, hold that thought for us. We're up against the break.
Yes.
Ag and Culture is coming back, being proudly sponsored by Heifer USA International.
Heifer USA is a nonprofit that supports small-scale, sustainable livestock businesses, and we are currently seeking individuals interested in pastured pork production in the state of Mississippi. Applicants should have access to at least 35 acres of land and be willing to participate in in-depth training, both online and in person at Heifer Ranch in Perryville, Arkansas. To learn about our operation, check out the Pastured Pigs playlist on the Heifer USA YouTube channel, or contact Farmer Engagement Specialist Ruth Canada at 501-391-5511.
Footprint Farms is a beautiful 68-acre vegetable and cattle farm located in Jackson, Mississippi, and is Mississippi's largest urban farm. The mission of Footprint Farms is to provide the community access to healthy food choices, introduce our youth to agriculture, and provide training and technical assistance to small farmers and ranchers. The farm is open to the public every Friday from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. to purchase fresh produce or visit us at the Mississippi Farmers Market located near the fairgrounds in February. We accept all forms of payment, including EBT and SNAP benefits. Looking for a beautiful venue for your next wedding, family reunion, or dinner? Footprint Farms offers a 3,000 square foot facility on 5 beautiful acres, perfect for your next event. For more information, visit our website at footprintfarms.com, Facebook and Instagram at Footprint Farms, or call us at 601-910-5534. Footprint Farms, farm fresh, city sweet. Hey, welcome back. Block number 2 of our first 1-hour show of agriculture.
I know, and I'm just so excited. And the information that we're receiving now from Lloyd Wright, who, let me say to you guys, you got to read about this man from his history for what he's done and what he's continued to do. But what he's also doing that's so magnificent, he's bringing others along. He's sharing information that he has, and he has been a part of so many programs has been developed that truly help black people. And he will say 1 minute, this is for black people. So no doubt where he stands. And anytime you read, he does not temper his tongue. He's going to tell you like it is, and he's going to bring that to Congress, to state elected officials, to whoever asks. So this is, I'm so proud to be his friend, but also as his mentee to learn so much. And thank you again for everything you do.
37 years of service in the United States Department of Agriculture, Director of USDA Office of Civil Rights under 2 administrations, both the Clinton and Obama administration.
Yes.
Mr. Wright, before we went to the break, we were talking about just growing up in the South. And I think it was a Washington Post article I was reading, I can't remember, but you said something, and I'm kind of paraphrasing. You said if you were black and you were trying to farm and you were south of the Mason-Dixon, by definition, you were discriminated against. Can you elaborate on that, sir?
Yes. I was asked that by the Secretary of Agriculture back in, I think it was 1996, 97, when I became director. How we define and where, how we determine who's been discriminated against. And I said, if you want to cut it short, if you're black, born south of the Mason-Dixon line, and you try to get services from USDA, you've been discriminated against. So then I said, so now we're talking about the degree of discrimination. All of the blacks have been discriminated against, the large ones and the small ones. And it's a matter of degree now. If you go back and look at some of the history, you'll find that the county committees and in some cases the federal agencies were willing to provide limited services to what they call safe Negroes back at that time. And they were the folk who, once they got something, tried to make sure the rest of us didn't. But beyond that, in the masses, if you were born south of the Mason-Dixon line, they discriminated against you. And those impacts are still carrying on. One of the things that we are trying to do in the Policy Center is to look at catch-up programs, I call them, in that when I started to work in 1961, the federal government provided services for drainage, clearing hedgerows, increasing the size of fields, land leveling, irrigation, all kinds of programs. Blacks didn't get those services. So they don't have the drainage systems. They don't have the irrigation. So now the policy is if you try to drain land now, you'll be swamp busting. And not only will you not get services, you won't get anything. I mean, you're out of the department for services if you swamp bust. So, and if you have an irrigation system, you can get money to maintain it. But we didn't get one to begin with.
Right.
So unless we have a catch-up program to provide the services and programs and farm infrastructure that were denied us even up in the 60s. You know, this is not ancient history. I lived under some of it, you know, these conditions. So if we don't help farmers catch up and get the infrastructure that was provided to white farmers that were not provided to us, we don't have a level playing field.
Absolutely.
So I would like to see the Farm Bill change so that for black farmers and probably Native Americans who apply for irrigation system, they would be eligible with no regard to present irrigation system.
Right, and on that note, Lloyd, even if you could get into the offices to do the paperwork, it was no guarantee. Actually, the paperwork never got to the areas that it should, because right there at the front line, your application was thrown in the trash or filed in 13, as they say. So, you know, they says, well, how can you didn't turn anything in? There was nothing there. There's nothing of record to show. And then when you start saying, yes, we did, you were still denied because there was no proof. There was no paperwork. Now, you mentioned the Policy Center. Last week we had Eloy's own Ms. Spates, and she gave us some great insights. But can you share a little bit more about that? And again, why we're still doing this and the importance of the Policy Center?
Yeah, for a little background on the Policy Center. You know, back about 20 years ago, a guy named Pearlie Reed, who's passed on, and myself and a handful of others, we made an effort to try to consolidate and get an agreement from the black organizations on the policies and programs needed to help the black farming community. And we were concerned in that some of the recommendations provided to Congress for farm bills were inconsistent, and some of them were actually opposed to others. So we came up with the idea of having a black policy center. It got changed when it got approved in the Farm Bill to be social disadvantaged. But the purpose of the center is to first, do research to get the facts straight, so that when we ask Congress to do something, that the basis for our recommendation is well-founded. And as was pointed out earlier, we need to read and have facts. We want to make sure we provide Congress facts when we ask them to make some changes.
Right.
And then we want to develop policy recommendations for the Farm Bill and other kinds of policy efforts to ensure that we address that past history. Mm-hmm. So a bunch of us got together and worked on that, and over a few years, we were finally able to get it in the 2014 Farm Bill. Mm-hmm. Your congressman there in Mississippi, mm-hmm. Congressman Chairman Benny Thompson,
yes,
was really the lead in getting that done. And appropriately, we located it in Mississippi, and Chairman Thompson is still very supportive, as well as the Black Caucus, of having the center. and it is growing and starting to achieve what I think those who envisioned it had in mind.
Yes.
All the players are not willing to play yet, and that we still have a few outsiders who would like to run their own separate program with their own narrow interests that is not necessarily in the interests of black farmers across the country.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll always have that.
Yeah.
But when I see efforts trying to be done outside and independent of the policy center as it relates to research around black interests, it is somewhat dangerous. And but I guess we'll never stop that.
Right.
We'll always have part of that. But the center is becoming recognized for the place to go to get information and upcoming policy related to black farmers. And for the coming up Farm Bill, we'll have some recommendations to address the needs of black farmers and social disadvantaged farmers in general, but it'll primarily be related to blacks.
Right.
But no, we're proud of the Policy Center, and I'm on the board.
Yes.
And have been on the board, and hopefully when we get the virus behind us, I'll be able to go in person to meetings. But
That's
I
right.
missed out on that.
That's
but,
right.
but yeah, it's a good organization and doing a good job, and it's new. I mean, we got set up in
only 5 years old.
Only
Yeah.
5 years old, so we're still growing. We have a good staff and good leadership, and really doing a good job. Have a good board, and most of them are willing to speak up, if not all.
If not all.
Yes.
Absolutely right.
They're speaking up, and when we talk about this, and you said it well, there are always going to be some people, organizations out there, but for the mass of what we're doing, the corporation and those groups are in 100%, and they're working hard, and they're disseminating information that is correct information. So what you're getting and receiving through the Policy Center is correct. You can back it up with the data. But the great part about the center is that the research is being done throughout our historical black colleges and universities, most of it, and being able to utilize the brain power that we never got to do before to actually get it, and the recommendations and information goes in as facts. So we're able to put more out there for students to know. But Mr. Lloyd, you said something else. We present this information to Congress. And a lot of times, this information is the first time they've seen these stats because of the misinformation that they see every day.
Yeah, and really, the Policy Center cannot do the lobbying job. Once they complete the research and develop policy recommendations, they really about at the end of the rope for them. So the rest of us have to get together, organizations, community-based organizations, a little organization that I work with here. And actually, I work with two organizations. There's a Black employee organization of past NRCS employees that we started back in the 90s. And I was actually the first president of that organization. But that organization is doing work as well. And then there's a number of other Black organizations in town that take that information and work with Congress. Although the report that we come up with at the Policy Center is mailed directly to the Black Caucus and others, and including the two ag committees. But beyond that, the rest of us have to work with Congress then to encourage them to do what need to be done. And it's coming at them from a number of angles, by the way. And so there are other folk out there with other interests. And so we're going to have to work hard to make sure that the people that are in place to make changes understand what need to be done and why, and move out to do it, because there are other people who have their own interests that's trying to get in on the edges to do things that really would benefit a narrow group of folk, not necessarily the masses. But for example, one of the report I just read didn't mention debt at all. One of the things we need to do for the Black community is to do something with this heavy debt load that they're carrying, some of it with USDA and some not.
Yes.
It was debt that should have been forgiven
Yes.
under Pigfoot, but they didn't get it.
Right.
And then they were going to get it when I was back there in 2009, 10, and 11, but we didn't. Folk got in the way to make sure that we didn't get it. And then we had a law passed last year, American Rescue Plan, where debt forgiveness program, and that didn't get implemented.
And that's what I wanted to speak to you about. That's a great segment. You read my mind is that with the American Rescue Plan, we were talking about this last week, is the fact of this was put in place to give debt relief to a lot of our black farmers. But yet and still, there were 5 white farmers who found a federal judge to basically enter an injunction saying that they were being discriminated against. So even when we had something signed into law to give us that debt relief, we still don't have that debt relief. Is that correct, Mr. Wright?
That is correct. And I blame them a little, but I blame the Secretary of Agriculture the most, in that any other secretary other than Vilsack would have implemented the program prior to those suits being filed. I'm part of a group that drafted a letter to the secretary on April the 8th, when they were playing with their fingers on how to stretch the 20% to make it enough to pay the taxes. And we basically said, let's not worry about the taxes. Let's forgive the debt, give them 20%. We'll worry about the taxes later. Actually, the Policy Center is in the process of coming up with some guidelines and to help farmers find the information they need to file taxes to make that 20% enough. Let's not worry about that little detail. Let's go ahead and implement and get this done. Two months later, actually at the end of May, the first lawsuit was filed. And then there was another couple of weeks before the injunction. There were plenty of time to pull the trigger and forgiven the debt. So yes, I expect white farmers, for 400 years they've been doing that to us. So we should have expected that. What I didn't expect is an administration put in with the black vote that gave us a secretary who failed us in the first 8 years he was there, and he's not going to do anything now. You can pass laws, but for example, in the 2008 Farm Bill, there were provisions put in to require agencies to collect information by race and sex and et cetera.
Mr. Wright, before we go any further, I want you to hold that thought. I want you to come back to that. We definitely need to touch on that. Hold that point. You're watching Ag and Culture, proudly sponsored by Heifer International USA.
Heifer USA is a nonprofit that supports small-scale, sustainable livestock businesses, and we are currently seeking individuals interested in pastured pork production in the state of Mississippi. Applicants should have access to at least 35 acres of land and be willing to participate in in-depth training, both online and in person at Heifer Ranch in Perryville, Arkansas. To learn about our operation, check out the Pastured Pigs playlist on the Heifer USA YouTube channel, or contact Farmer Engagement Specialist Ruth Canada at 501-391-5511.
Footprint Farms is a beautiful 68-acre vegetable and cattle farm located in Jackson, Mississippi, and is Mississippi's largest urban farm. The mission of Footprint Farms is to provide the community access to healthy food choices, introduce our youth to agriculture, and provide training and technical assistance to small farmers and ranchers. The farm is open to the public every Friday from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. to purchase fresh produce or visit us at the Mississippi Farmers Market located near the fairgrounds in February. We accept all forms of payment, including EBT and SNAP benefits. Looking for a beautiful venue for your next wedding, family reunion, or dinner? Footprint Farms offers a 3,000 square foot facility on 5 beautiful acres, perfect for your next event. For more information, visit our website at footprintfarms.com, Facebook and Instagram at Footprint Farms, or call us at 601-910-5534. Footprint Farms, farm fresh, city sweet. Hey, welcome back to Ag and Culture, and we're talking to Mr. Lloyd Wright, who is former director of the USDA Office of Civil Rights under the Clinton and Obama administration. And before we left, Mr. Wright, and I want you to pick up with that, we were talking about the American Rescue Plan and how our Secretary of Agriculture, Vilsack, did a couple of maybe unorthodox moves that could have possibly been done and put in place before any of these injunctions started. So you just maybe pick back up with kind of where we stopped on that point.
Well, I was saying that the 2008 Farm Bill required the department to collect information by race, sex, and et cetera, by individual, by county, by state, and then at the national level. the Vilsack became secretary in 2009 after this bill was passed. He didn't implement it. So when we got around to implementing the American Rescue Plan, one of the first things they had to do was to send out forms to have people designate who they were. Had he implemented the 2008 Farm Bill, this would have been done. So he would immediately been able to provide the debt relief. So having failed to follow the law, and it's still the law, just not being followed. There's a lot of things in the Farm Bill that this secretary has not implemented. But having failed to do that in 2009 and his whole 8 years, he tried to do that in a short period when he got ready to implement the American Rescue Plan, had people sign forms, designate who they were.
Right.
But that should have already been in the system. The law required that it be in the system. But in either way, he fumbled the ball. And he surrounded himself with folk who are going to help him fumble the ball. And both in OGC and in the agencies, these folk probably told him why he needed to do all of these, detailed things that were not necessary in order to run the clock out. Because in that letter, that April 8th letter, we made it clear that, before someone or something stopped us from implementing this program, let's get on with it. I mean, some of us know a little bit about history. Some of us, we're still waiting for our 40 acres and a mule. Farmers are still waiting for the debt relief. Of the 22,000 who signed up for Pickford 1, only 371 of them got debt relief. Okay, and those farmers, a lot of them have gone out of business, passed on, lost their farms. So, and then in 2010, we tried to look at the same farmers who still had debt, and in the process of trying to address that, the problem we ran into that the statute had expired.
Right.
So we had an effort to correct that. We went to the Black Caucus, Chairman Thompson and others. They passed a law in the House to extend the statute to cover the period for which we wanted to do the debt relief, and provided money in the bill to do it. It went over to the Senate and failed. We went back to the House and got it passed again. And then when we tried to work with the Senate, we found that some of the folk who pretend to be helping us were actually putting sand in the gears. So it turns out we never got that statute passed, although the House passed it twice. The Senate, by the way, was controlled by the Democrats and had almost a veto-proof number, there.
Right.
It never got passed because we didn't get help from the secretary. So we were very concerned when they reappointed him. And for any of us who expect anything good to happen, now he's going to throw money at organizations, but giving money to organizations will not help black farmers.
Right.
These farmers have debt.
Right.
And they've been saddled with it. And some of them who don't have debt with USDA have debt with other folk. That's worse. The equipment's run down. The farms are run down. They just haven't been able to get the resources to operate. The only way you're going to help these black farmers is to give them money. And there's a provision in the American Rescue Plan, Section 1006, to do that. And there's not a lawsuit stopping that right now.
So it could be implemented. That part of it could be implemented tomorrow with the secretary, not with anyone else. So Lloyd, in hearing that, let me just first say this. When we talk about the Farm Bill, a lot of people that's listening think it's just for farmers, but it impacts all of us, not just farmers, but every black person that is on the continent because of what it does and how far it goes in deep. So we're talking about this with black farmers. It affects your community, your churches, because we are the people that live in the communities. And if we can't do to take care of what we have because of how we're doing this, how can we prevail? So it's important that people realize, John Q, you and I, that we have to make our voices known. And that's by calling and talking and texting and speaking out. To say we want this done, we have to be the one to make this movement. Right. Just like it was in the 60s and when change happened, it had to be from the people.
Yeah.
So we have to understand the importance of that. And being a black farmer in this extinct time of being a black farmer and still pushing to make sure that our community has healthy foods that makes us healthier to help extend our lives is so important. But the reason, and you say this, tell me again, Lloyd, the reason that the USDA Ag did not collect the data before the bill we didn't pass is because they didn't want Congress to know. They didn't want anybody to know what black farmers was not getting. So if they didn't say, we did 100,000 loans, but in that 100,000 loans, it does not say X number went to blacks and to other minorities. So this way they were saying, we're doing great. Look at all this money we're putting out. Look at all these farmers we're helping. But they had nothing to show by design that they were not helping black farmers.
Absolutely.
It's business as usual.
Yeah. And that information was supposed to be used to do compliance reviews. You know, when I was director of civil rights, I had a compliance team. We went out to a few states. And I remember in our compliance reviews, we found more folk had been discriminated against who didn't complain than who did. Some of these folk are afraid to complain. Mm-hmm. But a compliance review, if you do collect that data that was required in the 2008 Farm Bill, and then use that to do compliance reviews, you'll find problems that you won't find even through the system of filing complaints.
Wow.
But we're not implementing that. We didn't implement it because even under black president, we had a secretary who elected not to.
Yeah.
And then to put him back in and expect something different. Well, what they say that, doing the same thing over and over again.
Different results.
It's insanity.
Based on insanity, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right. Well, I don't know why we put him back. We're not going to get any. Let me talk a little bit about 106.
Okay.
Which is, there are two provisions that were designed primarily to help black and social disadvantage. And by the way, that item dealing with debt forgiveness and the payments was lifted from the Justice for Black Farmer Act. And that was initially drafted by Senator Elizabeth Warren. Mm-hmm. And over time, Senator Booker took it over, and it's been introduced. And then Senator Warnock lifted a couple provisions from that,
right,
and then put it in the American Rescue Plan, and changed it from black to social disadvantaged.
Right.
And it had to be probably, because probably couldn't get it done otherwise. Mm-hmm. But be that as it may, the first provision, the 1005, was the debt forgiveness for social disadvantaged farmers.
Right.
So all black, Latino, Native Americans, Asian farmers would have had their debt forgiven, both the guaranteed debt and the direct debt, loan storage, and et cetera,
right,
with a 20% payment for taxes. Mm-hmm. Now, that's on hold. The lawsuit stopped that.
Right.
But it didn't stop 1006. And there were 5 sections to 1006. And the secretary is implementing 4 of those. I mean, he gave out $70-something million to organizations. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think even the Policy Center got some of that money.
A small amount?
And a small amount. And the university got some, and a whole bunch of folks. So he's implementing 4 sections. Mm-hmm. The only section he's not implementing is the section that would provide, which is item 5, which would provide direct payments to farmers for past discrimination and bias.
Wow.
And I think at the department, they think if they give enough money to the community-based organizations. To make farmers happy,
no,
it won't.
No.
No. And I call that the trickle-down theory. Mm-hmm. And I don't care how much bread you put on the table of the community-based organizations, very few crumbs will fall to the floor for black farmers. If you want to help a black farmer, you got to give them the money. And it was designed to do just that. And that's what item 5 of section 1006 would do. We're working with Congress, trying to get them to encourage the secretary, because we can't get his attention, to go ahead and implement it. Now, they said, well, a lawsuit will probably stop it. So be it. I mean, I could decide not to get out of bed in the morning thinking I might stumble my toe, but I get out. And so maybe it gets stopped. But until then, let's provide money to the farmers. He could start that tomorrow. The only reason he's not, he doesn't want to.
And that's
no one is forcing them to do it.
That's the other thing that concerns me, is that we already have a razor-thin margin of majority in the House and the Senate, and it seems like every day is getting smaller and smaller. And I was asking the question a couple of weeks ago, if not now, then when, Mr. Wright, that we can get this relief?
Probably never. Like I said, we'll probably get this in the same package we get the 40 acres and a mule.
Wow.
And having waited over 150 years for that. So I would say probably never. In that even under the Democratic administrations, which is better than the Republicans by a long mile, we still don't get implementation for blacks. We get it for some other folk. Mm-hmm. A lot of other folk get help, but not the folk who really had the damage.
Yeah.
And still have the damage. And still have that. So Lloyd, what is it that what is it that we can do? What is people that's listening and people we're talking to? What can they do? I mean, the voices have to be heard. What is one thing that they could do today?
Well, I think if we could get all of the blacks, and including their organizations, to work together, I think we could get 006 implemented. But we have some folk who are so concerned with the trickle-down change that they get from the department that they don't join. Let me put it another way. The letter that was drafted encouraging the secretary on April 8th to go ahead and implement this thing before someone stopped them was signed by 52 organizations. None of those organizations received one nickel of the money he handed out when he started handing that $72 million out. So basically, he gave it to the folk who laid in the cut, who would not sign on. Those were the organizations that got the money. And those are the organizations now will sing his praise. They don't represent black farmers. They are concerned with their own well-being. So what we need to do is get all of us to work. For those who claim that they are trying to help black farmers, then you should try to help black farmers. If you want to help a black farmers, I know a couple of black farmers who tried to get enough money and was hoping they'd get enough money to plant last year. When one of them almost got things lined up and got something with NRCS for some assistance, and his tractor broke down. He didn't have enough money to fix it. If we go ahead and implement 1006 Section 5, we could give that person a few $100,000, and they deserve more than that. They deserve millions. We could give money to these farmers and save them.
Yes.
As we sit here and discuss this, farmers are going out of business. It's so long you can hold on under all of the stress.
That's right.
Okay. So the longer we talk about it, the problem takes care of itself.
Right.
And that the farmers will be all going out. Some of them are dying off, and others are losing their land. Yeah. We could start tomorrow giving money to those farmers if the secretary wanted to do it. Now, you can go in there and ask your staff, tell me how I can avoid doing this. And they'll have to do that. Or you could ask them to tell me how you can do it. I never asked my staff to tell me how to avoid doing something. You tell me how to do it. Now, maybe you got to make a change here and there to do it, but tell me how to do it. And if you start off with that attitude, he could start paying black farmers almost too late now. In some parts of the country, they'll be planting here in a few weeks.
Yes, sir.
But for those that we can save for another year, if we start giving money out to them, and there's money there.
Yes.
The revised bill was going to make $750 million available for that item.
Mr. Wright, hold that thought. We're definitely going to come back. So much good information with former Director of USDA Office of Civil Rights, Mr. Lloyd Wright. This is Ag and Culture, being proudly sponsored by Heifer International USA. I'm LeGrand Elliott.
I'm Cindy Ayers Elliott.
And we have a brand new show called Ag and Culture. We'll be discussing all things agriculture.
But more specifically, how it affects farmers and ranchers of color with national and local guests.
And of course, we're talking culture, food, wine, health, politics, education, and so much more.
Join us for informative and fun conversation with guests from all over the country.
It's a fresh new show, Ag and Culture, every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. on the East, and 7 a.m. on the West.
Watch us on our YouTube channel, MS Footprint Farms.
And on WeBelieve.global. Footprint Farms is a beautiful 68-acre vegetable and cattle farm located in Jackson, Mississippi, and is Mississippi's largest urban farm. The mission of Footprint Farms is to provide the community access to healthy food choices, introduce our youth to agriculture, and provide training and technical assistance to small farmers and ranchers. The farm is open to the public every Friday from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. to purchase fresh produce or visit us at the Mississippi Farmers Market located near the fairgrounds in February. We accept all forms of payment, including EBT and SNAP benefits. Looking for a beautiful venue for your next wedding, family reunion, or dinner? Footprint Farms offers a 3,000 square foot facility on 5 beautiful acres, perfect for your next event. For more information, visit our website at footprintfarms.com, Facebook and Instagram at Footprint Farms, or call us at 601-910-5534. Footprint Farms, farm fresh, city sweet.
Heifer USA is a nonprofit that supports small-scale, sustainable livestock businesses, and we are currently seeking individuals interested in pastured pork production in the state of Mississippi. Applicants should have access to at least 35 acres of land and be willing to participate in in-depth training, both online and in person at Heifer Ranch in Perryville, Arkansas. To learn about our operation, check out the Pastured Pigs playlist on the Heifer USA YouTube channel, or contact Farmer Engagement Specialist Ruth Canada at 501-391-5511.